Like the title infers, it was way too hot to do an intense workout outside at 104 degrees. So that means it's time to do a Zwift race. It's been a while since I've done a Zwift race. The last time I did a Zwift race was around the beginning of June, and before that it was in April. In fact, I raced so little because of the race season that I've been downgraded from B back to C. I'm listed as almost B, but I can go race C's without getting DQ'd. If I had looked at that before I did this race, then this is a B category, I think I would have done the C's. Since I have a number of new subscribers and new people looking at this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I am 66. I'm still racing bicycles, obviously. I am also subject to AFib. The last time I got an AFib attack was about 2 months ago. And usually when I get these attacks, that's because I've done something wrong. Or more specifically, I did something against one of the rules I have established, so I helped prevent getting AFib. This last time I actually didn't break a rule. I agitated my vagus nerve, and that promoted the AFib to come back. For those interested, check out my 6-video vlog series on it. On the day of, and how I got rid of it, and then the days after. Well, enough of that. Let's talk about the race on the screen. There are 20 of us that started the race, and there were 15 that finished. So of the 15 that finished, one guy was actually 60 years old. He was the winner. And the rest of them, there was a 20-something, there were a couple 30-somethings, and there were about 5 or 6 40-somethings. And then I think the others, the 3 or 4 others, were not declared as to what their ages were. The main reason I'm doing this Zwift race is that I have been focusing a lot on climbing, and that's improved quite a bit, and I haven't done any flatland training for about a month and a half, and that's been showing. Rather than go out and do intervals, or in this case, because it's a hot day, do intervals on my trainer inside, it's more fun for me to do a Zwift race, and I think I'll get a good workout with it, and I usually do. Back to the screen. Most of the pack I think is taking it easy. They will probably start to pick it up on the second lap, going into that brick section that goes uphill. So let's jump to the second lap right now. Now you'll notice I'm in the front leading. And you'll notice they're starting to pick up and coming around me. And so I'm getting close to 300 watts, a little over 300 watts. So now we're hitting the bricks, and this is where everybody starts to open it up. And so all of a sudden I find myself at the back. So now I'm standing, you can see in my insert in the lower left-hand corner, putting a lot of watts into this. Everybody's putting a lot of watts into this. And so I'm doing what I can just to stay connected. I had noticed as we crest the top that everybody kind of lets up a little bit. So I keep going strong for just a little bit longer, just so I can sit in a little more comfortably and get some recovery. Or rather, a better way to put it is get some recovery without the fear of getting dropped. That brick section is my biggest challenge. Now we're heading into the rollers, and I find myself at the back, but the rollers don't seem to be that much of a problem for me. The way I do the rollers is I apply power on the uphill section and just a little bit less power so I can rest just a bit on the downhill. And I do that for, I think it's 3 iterations. And that seems to work out for me. I guess like it is here. I don't think people are putting in a lot of power in this right now. I think most everybody is concentrating on that brick section. What I need to do is get some good power-ups. Fast forward to the third lap leading into the brick section. I got a drafting boost that I'm using now, and this was actually a good move for me. So it helps keep me connected. Everybody's going harder, which of course means that I have to go harder. And using the drafting boost helped get me toward the middle, or toward the front middle of the pack. And so I have a little bit of buffer that I can fall back on, which I appear to be falling back right now. But I'm not at the back. You'll also notice by all the power numbers on the far right-hand graphic that these guys aren't letting up now in this particular lap. They're still going. And I'm starting to get disconnected. Okay, so we're toward the end of the third lap, and typically in these B category races, I last close to half a lap. A couple times I've gone over, but this may be one of those cases. So rather than pull myself out, I am fighting to try and get back on, to see if I can get back on. Now, as we're going to hit the roller section, I view that as an advantage for me because of the technique that I'm using. So I'm using it here, and it looks like maybe I'm starting to make up a little bit of time, a little bit of distance, excuse me. Now, if these guys gun it after the 180 there, then I'm gone. But if they don't, then I will be able to catch back on, and so far it looks like I'm making distance up to them. Fortunately, as we hit the start-finish line, I am back with the group. but that cost me a lot of bananas. So now we are starting the fourth lap. At the end of the fourth lap is going to be the end of the first half of the race. Jumping to the brick section, I'm still recovering a bit from that earlier effort. They didn't come in strong, and I'm toward the front, which is good for me, but these guys are now picking it up in the brick section, and I'm having to again put a lot of watts. I'm standing, you can see there in the insert. There's a lot more people doing a lot more watts, and I just hope that these guys let up, but it's kind of lined out, and I'm getting gapped. It's looking like I'm going to have to do another chase to get connected on the roller section, and this is going to be even tougher to do this time around. So this is where I start looking at the graphics at the right again to see who's behind me. Who will I be able to connect with? It's looking like there's a possibility of two people. Manalo behind me and Fernandez in front of me. I'm going to try and search the pack in front of me, but I don't have a lot of confidence. If I don't get connected to them on or after the roller section, then that's it. I again do my technique where I put a lot of power in the uphill, and then I dial it back for a little bit of recovery on the downhill. I do that 1, 2, 3 times, and a little bit on the fourth. Fourth, it just goes up a couple feet, I think. I'm seeing there's a lot of real estate between me and the pack, and I'm thinking that, all right, I'm not going to be able to make the connection, so it's going to be me and Manalo, and Fernandez is back there, but I never really see him again. As we cross the start finish, it is now the second half of the race, and true to form, I got dropped toward the end of the first half of the race. We trade pulls, and I'm sure he's doing what I'm doing in terms of I don't want to be able to lose contact with this guy, unless I'm trying to pull away from him, of course. I noticed that going on the brick sections and on the rolling sections that I seem to have an easier time, or maybe he's feigning a bit to give me overconfidence. Jumping ahead to the 6th lap right before the brick section, you can see by the graphics at the bottom that I've been going fairly easy, but this is where I'm going to give myself a test. I'm putting a lot of power into this to get some separation and to see what happens. When I get to the top, I still have separation. In fact, I think I may have close to a second between myself and him. So I keep going as hard as I can, which is not very hard right now. In fact, that took a lot out of me, so now I'm starting to dial back, and I'm seeing how quickly that he reconnects with me. If by some chance I can make it to the rollers before he gets to me, then it could be game on. But that would mean I have to maintain that power, or what power I could, for 2 laps, and I don't think I have that in my legs right now. He not only catches me before the rollers, but he counters and goes past me. So now I've got to chase him when I really don't want to chase him. So I use my standard technique on the rollers, power on the up, dial back on the downhill, and I make connection to him before we leave the rolling section. So we now have a little over 2 laps to go, and I need a little bit of recovery before we go in for the final sprint. Because I can't sprint at all, I'm probably going to try and take off a little bit earlier, hopefully catch him by surprise. Jumping forward to the last K, Manalo has been doing a smart move. Most of this last lap, plus a little bit of the 7th lap, he's been putting a little extra power in, which causes me to have to use extra power to stay with him, obviously. But him doing that prevents me from doing what I want to do toward the end of the race. With about 0.3 to go or so, 500 meters, I want to be able to jump away and then see if I can maintain that. I do have that aero power up that arguably I could have used earlier and then taken a chance that I'd get the same thing at the end, but this is what I have now. Problem is that I don't have that type of recovery and my legs are starting to go. Jumping forward to the roller section, this is where I want to make my move. So I'm starting to apply power again on the uphills and trying to maintain that on the downhills. I get just a bike length or two, and then that's all I can maintain. Manalo's right there. He's just waiting. He's biding his time, and at a certain point, he's going to go. Now, I think I'm doing the aero boost, and it looks like he's doing an aero boost too. So we both have the same, kind of canceling each other out. I just don't even have the legs to be able to stand and sprint at this point. So good job on Manalo. So as it turns out, I finished last. well, last of those that remained in. So again, we started with 20 and I came in 15th and I'm the last guy. Even though I dialed back a bit on the last half, and just trying to conserve whenever I could conserve because I got dropped from the main pack, I still came in at about 271 watts average, and so that approximately is my FTP. I consider that a good thing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. In about a week and a half, I'll be doing the district road race for a Soul Guy 65 plus over in along the coast, kind of southern coast, California. As always, remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.